last one in the 77 Pensacola. Mark Hayes' last victory was the 77 TPC.
So they're all bunched up 2 shots back.
And then Bruce Litsky, who is a 3-time winner this year, is hungrily looking at Oosterhouse's pace. He has some company with Tom Pertzer and Jack Nicklaus, along with Tom Kite at 3 under. And then you fall back a little bit to David Graham and Bob Eastwood at 1 under par. But can he do it? Can Peter Oosterhuis finally win on the North American continent? He's leading by 2. We're going to find out. The preceding message was supplied by the PGA Tour. Let's go out to 15.
Jim Thorpe, Tommy Valentine, and Dennis Watson here at the par 3. On the card, it's 141, playing 153 today with the pin in the upper right-hand position. Certainly one of the toughest pin placements. This is Thorpe from 50 feet for a 2. Leaves himself 5 feet left for his par. He's at 1 over par for the tournament, having started the day at -1. Valentine really having his problems. 8 over today, starting at even par. He's the Gainesville, Georgia golfer. And Dennis Watson, the 3rd member of this group, the South African who picked up his card earlier this year at the qualifying school. Even though he's 27 years of age and a veteran of considerable international experience, he's done well. Already over the $20,000 mark in winnings. He's at 3 over par today and 3 over for the tournament. This for birdie. From 30 feet up over the rise, and much too bold. 4 feet coming back for Watson for his 3. Seen a ton of bogeys out here today. Johnny Miller came through a while back, made double bogey on this hole. It's a 2-tier green, and it just isn't much room for error on the tee shot. You simply have to get it close. If you get down on the lower level, you're in big trouble. How tough is it with this pin placement, Ken Venturi?
Well, why you see so many short, Frank, is because they're guarded against going over the green in the bunker, because coming down that hill is very fast and almost impossible to get down in 2. So I don't think you're going to see many golf balls today very close to that hole.
Watson for his par from about 5 feet. Nicely done. Great spectator setting here around 15. This hole is done in amphitheater style with people all over the place, seated on the side of the hills, taking in the action. There you see the backdrop, top of your screen there. That's a 100-foot cliff, as this is the last of the so-called valley holes here at Glen Abbey. From 11 through 15, they're all down below, where there's virtually no wind at all, very little wind, if any. In contrast, up above, from here on, they go to 16 and climb back up the hill. They call this the Valley of Sin, and it has claimed a few victims. Thorpe, about 6 feet away. This will be for his 3. He's not far from home this week, being from Buffalo. So keep him at 1 over. It's been a fine tournament for him. And Tommy Valentine, who has been up and down like a yo-yo in this golf tournament, opening with a 79 on Thursday, then following with a 64, which would have tied the course record on Friday had not Leonard Thompson bettered it by 2 with a 62. Came back with a 70 yesterday, did Valentine. And now today he is 8 over par for the round and for the tournament. This is for his par. Not his day. Young man who made such a big splash down in his home country at the Atlanta Classic. Let's go to 17.
Where Lee Trevino has displayed his great artistry that has won him this title twice. by hitting the green. One of very few players to hit the green in a tremendous side wind from left to right. Here he is putting for a birdie. 4 over par today, 6 over in all. Holds the aggregate record here. 288 under par. Shame. Meanwhile, at the moment, Peter Oosterhuis with birdies at the 11th, 12th and 13th holes has assumed command at 6 under par.
You're looking at the finishing hole, the 500-yard par 5 18th here at Glen Abbey, that has given up only 5 eagles, but 2 of them today, indication that the wind has suddenly favored the golfers. Peter Oosterhuis, we mentioned earlier, has never won on the North American continent, and he has stumbled a bit. Mark Hayes has caught him, so they're locked in at 5 under, with Andy North and Leonard Thompson just one back at 4. Bruce Litsky has company at 3 under par, so we look like we're in for a great finish in this 72nd Canadian Open. First prize, $76,500. Looking out at the fairway, that dark patch of rough you see is about 275 yards off the tee, and we have seen some monstrous drives today, probably the biggest hit by Jerry Pate. The money has been raised by $75,000 for a total purse of $425,000. First place $76,500, second $45,900, third place $29,900. So the Canadian Open, one of the oldest, is also now one of the richest tournaments on the tour. Out on the fairway at 18, as we pick up more golf action, you have Larry Nelson along with Lon Hinkle and Tom Watson, while up on the green, George Archer is putting. And Archer is putting for par. He's at 3 over. So George Archer finishes at 3 over par. Kenny, we were mentioning about the change in the wind here at 18, so it has changed the hole considerably.
It's a little bit right to left and downwind, and which has made the hole play easier, and 16 is playing shorter also, but I can't believe where some of the players are driving it now. They're reaching this green in 2 with medium irons.
Lon Hinkle is about 275 yards, or maybe even a couple more than that off the tee, huh?
Yeah. This long, narrow green with the pin in the back. The green looks large when you look down upon it from here, but when you look out in the fairway, you don't see the whole green. It looks very narrow and very, very small, and you've got to cross the water and not much green to work with.
Kenny, Lon Hinkle had a disastrous hole yesterday.
14th hole, he made an 8 on that hole, which took him right out of contention.
That 14th hole is a 426-yard par 4, and that's where a player had an eagle yesterday. So that's the sides of the coin, an 8 going to a deuce. So Hinkle now is about ready.
I don't believe that Hinkle can be more than, I'd say 185 yards maybe.
Get out.
Right in the middle of the green. He's got to come down. Right exactly in the middle of the green, but he'll be a good 45 feet away from the hole.
Let's go to 15.
And on the tee now of the 153-yard par 3, Peter Oosterhuis, Bruce Litsky, and David Graham. Oosterhuis coming off a bogey at 14, which has troubled a lot of players this week, and that preceded by successive birdies at 11, 12, and 13. At 11, that's where the valley starts. So he's ahead of the game right now. David Graham, the U.S. Open champion, who also won the PGA a couple of years ago, which quite obviously is coming up next week in Atlanta. And a big favorite in these parts. The week after he won the Open, he came up to Kitchener, Ontario, and played in the Canadian PGA and made quite a run at it. Has a 7-iron. Wind is calm down here.
Oh, don't hook it.
Well left of the flagstick.
Right.
And on the lower tier, about 25 feet away from the flagstick, there's a ridge that cuts across 10, 12 feet in front of the flag. And you've got to get over that. If you don't, you'll roll right back down the hill and wind up looking at 40 or 45 feet. Bruce Lietzke started the day at 2 under. It's 1 under for his round today, also using a 7-iron. It's deep rough right around the edge of this green, too. Lietzke, who won this event on this golf course in '78, hit left of the flagstick. He got over the rise and is 8 feet away from another birdie, which could put him at 4 under par and very much in the picture. And here is Oosterhuis. Started very slowly this year, got some help from his friend Bert Yancey at Heritage, and has come along of late. He's played this hole very well. Birdies 2 out of the 3 days, also with a 7-iron. Just dwarfs that club. Starts that well to the right. And that is in the tall grass. 6 inches off the putting surface, but yet in very deep rough. Ken Venturi, let's look at these swings.
All right, Frank, we look at Peter Oosterhuis. His setup there is with his right shoulder lower and takes it back much shorter than most players for his height. Sets it there and sets it perfectly there. Now, Lietzke takes a little bit more on the inside, around his shoulders, closes it on the backswing, and comes up with a slightly bit of over-the-top loop. But Oosterhuis now drives down and through, and looks how he stays behind the ball there, just a little too much, but keeps the ball out slightly to the right. Lietzke now spins out a little bit more in the left side, but stays under, holding the shot and finishing very high. 2 very good-looking swings.
We're at 18 live now, and here's Tom Watson putting for birdie, but you heard the crowd react, and we'll show you why. This is live. Burn the cup. So poor Tom, who has never been a factor in this tournament, he has not been able to break par in any of the 4 days. He will wind up with a par here at 18 and finish at 4 over for the tournament. And Watson gives that golf ball the deep 6. And that's the story for Tom Watson in the '81 Canadian Open. Larry Nelson, who started the day at 2 over, will be putting for birdie. He's 3 over for the day, 5 over for the tourney. He had 2 solid days of even par and then 2 under, and then yesterday ballooned to a 4 over 75. And he is 3 over today. Peter Oosterhuis, Mark Hayes, Andy North, Leonard Thompson, Tom Purcher. They're all battling it out on the leaderboard. Nelson for birdie. And he burns the cup. Let's go to 15.
Here's Oosterhuis, 20 feet away from the flagstick and about 6 inches into the thick grass. Second shot to the par 3. Co-leader with Mark Hayes at 5 under. Not bad. Leaves himself 2.5 feet for his par. Peter, runner-up to Lee Trevino back in 1977 here at the Canadian Open. Let's go back to 18.
And now we'll show you the reason why the crowd reacted on this eagle attempt from Lon Hinkle. And that was the 6th eagle that the 18th hole has surrendered. Snead, Quigley, Hinkle's 2nd eagle here, and then Mazza, Gilder, and Hinkle today.
Think where he'd be without that 8 at 14 yesterday, Ben.
And with those big apple cheeks, he can still manage to grin, and we'll go back to 15.